Classes in session.
Welcome everybody to Unlearn 16 Classes in Session, and today I have a full jam-packed house. I have to my right or to your left, I'm not too sure, Miss Anna Pack.
Hi, homies.
And over on the other side of the fence there, we got Everyday Trace and Melissa, Laundry Talk superstar. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
So we are going to jump into, we are going to talk about relationships. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to talk about the good because that's boring. Let's talk about the bad and the ugly, shall we?
All right.
Nobody really wants to hear the good. That's boring. Worst date. Who has the worst date they've ever been on?
Worst date I've ever been on was with Snake Girl. I call her Snake Girl.
Stand by. No. You're gonna need to back up that story. So before you go on with Snake Girl, I'm gonna need to know why. And is this an Australia thing? Because there's a lot of snakes there.
Yeah, you'd think, right? You'd think, oh, of course, the Australian's got a Snake Girl story. Of course she does. No, this story is set in London, actually. So I went to a party once with my friends. I was young, right? I was young. It was like a warehouse party. Everyone was there was so super cool. Not me. I just went with my cool friends. And there was a girl there and she had a snake around her neck and she was dancing. We were giving each other the eyes or whatever. And she sort of gestured that I come up to her.
Was it Britney Spears?
What's her name?
Actually, it was the girl from Wayne's World. So it could have been either or, right?
She gestures. Can I just pause for a minute?
I'm thinking, oh my God, a Snake Girl wants me.
No, you don't go, you think, cool, Snake Girl's gesturing. You don't think, that's psychotic, I'm leaving the party.
I leave the party because there's a snake in the building. But
we're going to have to dig deeper on that later, but carry on. Okay, so she gestures.
Right. Okay, so, well, see, I'm Australian, so it's a snake and I'm Australian. Like, if someone had a beaver, would you be walking away? I wouldn't if it was a beaver. It's hard. It's difficult.
What are they doing with the beaver?
Anyway.
Was the snake sexual? I have a great snake story later, but continue.
I go up and I start. There's not a lot of chat between me and Snake Girl, right? I hold the snake for a bit. She holds the snake. We start making out a little bit. At the end of the night,
this is not a euphemism at all, right? There's not a euphemism.
Okay. No, not a euphemism at all. This is purely a story about a girl with a snake. But not a lot of words get said. We don't go into any deep conversation. There's none of that. We swap numbers, leave the party, and we organise a date for a week later. So you can imagine the anticipation of going on a date with Snake Girl, right?
I'm thinking she brings a crocodile, but go ahead.
Right. And I'm thinking, oh, God, if I end up going back to her apartment, it's going to be a jungle apartment. God knows what else is there, right? I'm having all these visions. All my friends are pumped up about the incoming date with Snake Girl. Get there. It goes from possibly one of the most exciting dates I've ever had to really not. Now, there's a popular pharmacy in the UK called Boots, right? And they have a advantage card, like one of those things where you gain points and then you get savings a little bit later.
Like Air Miles.
Like Air Miles or like your PC Optium, that kind of card.
I got you so far.
The conversation of the date was so boring that I find myself at one point talking about a 3 for 2 offer at Boots Pharmacy. So you can imagine at this point it's already quite low if that's the conversation that I'm bringing to the date. And yes, I'm well aware that that's me, so it could have just been me really boring the date. But her reaction to me talking about the Boots Advantage card went from super calm to quite erratic, like in the shortest second. Her views on rewards cards were quite strong indeed. She eventually, within about 2 minutes, slammed her hands on the table, got up, and she's like, I can't believe you use Advantage cards. If we all didn't use Advantage cards, everything would be cheaper. That's the sort of person you are. I don't want to be with you. And then she storms and walks out. And from that, I had to go around and text all my friends who were like, how was date with Snake Girl? I'm like, it took a turn. It took a very unusual turn. Yeah.
Where was the snake?
Didn't see it again. You
think it was in another room? Maybe.
No, because the date wasn't
at her house. It wasn't at her house. It was at a bar.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just sat there in
Oh,
the bar
good. She yelled at you in the middle of a bar about rewards programs.
about rewards programs. Yeah. But it was
I-
the anger towards the Boots reward card that really got me. That really,
I-
really, really got
Well,
me.
I fight a lot about a lot of things, and I tend to throw down with a lot of people, and I look for it, right? Like I channel in, like I'm like, cool, that's an aggressive person. I want to sit near them so we can fight. I've never met anybody with a strong opinion about the rewards card system.
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, it does seem quite odd if you think about it. I don't mind that she had an opinion on it. I don't mind that it was a strong opinion, but I feel the way it came across and on a first date, maybe that's not putting your best foot forward. And I think if that's how passionate she are about reward cards, maybe I don't want to know her opinions on things that might actually
Absolutely not.
matter more than rewards cards. Not that I'm saying rewards cards don't matter, because obviously to some people they do.
And I'm going to say right here, and I'll take the comments that they don't.
So that's my bad date. That's a bad date for me.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And it was with a woman. I was expecting it to be with a boy, just because that's how that rolls.
No,
Melissa?
it doesn't matter based on gender. Anyone can have a problem with rewards cards. Anyone, right? it's not.
It's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
But I was
Melissa,
young and yeah, it was
young and well, that's what you get for coming over to the lady with the snake. I would have ran the other way in a physical sense, in a mental sense, in an emotional sense, any way I could have departed that. And if somebody would have looked me dead in the eye having a snake and done this, I think I would have passed out. I don't think I would have done anything. I think I would have just hit the ground. Here's an interesting story. You don't know Toronto very well, but my mom used to work at Wellesley Hospital. Wellesley Hospital was, like, let's be honest, at the crappiest intersection of Toronto, like a very, and historically it's not there anymore, but very sort of low socioeconomics, high crime, prostitution central, if you will. Very marginalized community, really, really bad. Anyways, I used to go with my mom all the time, but when we drive in and out, it would be really early in the morning or really late at night, because my mom would work shift work. And one really early in the morning, we were driving in at like 5:30, so a lot of the sex workers were still out, and there was a lady, prostitute, standing there, and I was young. I mean, I might have been 12, maybe. And I saw her and I recognized that she was a prostitute, and I just stared. So I was just like, right? And she caught my eye. And again,
so young and also recognizing a prostitute that young. Well, it's Pretty Woman.
It's obvious.
Yeah, well, maybe, but either I knew that she was a prostitute, or I also went to the hospital with my mom all the time, so I knew a lot of different demographics. Like when I was young, I met people who were transgendered and had transsexual operations really, really early, like in the 80s, when nobody, like Wellesley Hospital is the first people that were doing it. So I think I had exposure to a pretty diverse group. But anyway, I stared at her, and then she caught my eye, and much like I would have assumed the snake lady, I immediately turned, right? Like I'd been caught doing something bad. And the window was undone, and she shouts out from the corner, "Let her look, Mom, it's real." And my mom's like, "What was that?" And we drove away. Guys, I felt so nauseous. Mom had to draw. I go, "You got to pull over. You got to pull over. I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up." And I was so affected by what just happened that I almost puked on the side of the road. So, snake lady aside, that's how I would have answered it. Melissa, I don't know how you're going to top that story. I really don't.
I don't think I can. Yeah, that's tricky. I had a date, sort of what I didn't think was a date, because it was with a boy, and he thought it was a date. I just thought we were friends. And
were you out at that point, or you were straight?
Yeah. I was out. Yeah,
but he didn't know.
We didn't. It wasn't something I discussed with him.
Okay.
We were just pals. Like it never really came up. Anyways, he asked me to go to the movies, and I said for sure, because we wanted to see whatever the movie was. I know that it was a long time ago because of what was happening in the news, and we were driving and sort of listening to that. So we weren't talking a lot. It was
just so everybody knows, it was the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's what it was.
I think it was the Oklahoma City bombing. So it's a long time ago.
The Titanic.
Early 90s. All right.
So yeah, it was a long time ago. So we were driving, and I realized that he was thinking it was a date. And I sort of panicked, and I thought, like, how am I going to get out of this? So we went to the movies, and I ate the entire time to the point where I was sick, but I was so afraid he was going to try to hold my hand. I just kept eating and eating. And like, you know how you buy the popcorn, but you can only have like a handful because then you're sick. But I ate and ate and ate.
That's good. It's a
And
good
then-
goal. Throwing up on him would have helped. Yeah.
Well, it was crazy because then on the way home, I thought, oh my God, I don't want him to know where I live. So I got to make some place up. So I said to him, oh, I live on Church Street, which is where my sister lived. I thought I'd just get him to drop me off at my sister's and then it'll be fine. So he goes to drop me off there, but she's not home. And then he's like, well, I'll walk you to the door. I was like, no, it's okay. I'll get it. And then, so I went to go in the front door and it was locked. And then I came back to the car and said to him, oh, she just wants me to go around the back, I'm sure. But when I got to the back, I couldn't, anyways, I had to climb up a post to get to the second floor balcony. And it was just,
I think I saw this movie. I don't know.
yeah, it was. But what was funny is that I hadn't talked to him for so many years. And then I realized that he ran for mayor of Toronto just a couple of years ago.
And his name is, can I guess?
Hang on a minute.
No, he ran. He ran. Yeah, you wouldn't know him actually, Joe, because he
Look at Jo. She's like, oh my God, I'm into politics. This is
Is
my
he Italian?
he is not Italian. No.
Ugh.
No. And yeah,
That's a great story.
he was faith-based and running as that. But when I knew him, he certainly was the opposite of faith-based.
Some people make changes for their political aspirations.
Yeah. So that's it. I can't really top that, but that was it. And I had to like scale the deck. It was crazy.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You want to tell your movie story
What's my movie story?
with why you broke up with your boyfriend?
Oh, I mean, it's not really topping anything. He just got a
But I
hair-
just hold on because I do think it has weight to maybe our relationship, and I want everybody to hear how cutthroat this woman is.
he just look. I was dating this guy, lovely guy, and unfortunately, he got a haircut that I didn't love, and we went to the movie theater, and then I just looked over at him and said, "I don't think we should be together anymore," and I left.
And how long had you been with him, Anna, when you made that decision?
Oh, not long, maybe 3 months, 3-4 months.
Look, it sounds bad, Joe, but I gotta say,
You don't say she didn't stay for the movie.
okay, well, I don't know about that, but if somebody that I was dating got something very drastic done at the very beginning, well,
Listen,
I
Hang
mean,
on, like what?
you know, I don't know. If Trace turned
Tracy,
around and
don't
got a
dare.
mohawk or something, I don't know. I mean, you know, I
Exactly
wouldn't.
what
That's it?
happened. That's
I
exactly
think
what
make a phone
happened.
call.
Stop.
back to
His
the
hair-
tomorrow.
every time I go to the barber, which is twice a month, right? I break out in a cold sweat. I never know what's going to happen. What if his shears slip, and then all of
gotta
a
be
sudden we have
careful.
to start.
Look, I think
So-
this is really getting into a sort of a deal breakers kind of zone, right? And I feel like at 3 months, you can definitely be like, if you get a haircut like that, then that means you're a certain kind of person. If you've been with someone for 3 years and they get a bad haircut, you can be like, okay, yeah, whatever. But at the 3 month mark, you're still sort of getting to know each other. I've broken up with someone because they cut a mango incorrectly.
You did not. Stop
I
at your
did.
line.
I did.
How long were you together?
Maybe about 2 months.
And was this a guy or a girl?
A girl, and we were in bed, and she said, I know you love mangoes. I'm going to go.
First of all, why is she bringing the mango to bed?
That's
That's
sticky.
not okay.
Right.
But
So
go
that's
ahead.
her first mistake right there. She brought the mango back to the bedroom, and I was like, I don't know if you've ever eaten a mango, but this isn't the room for it, right? This is not the room for a mango, right? Outside on the grass is the room for a mango, but that's by the by. Anyway, she was English and I was Australian. We were in Australia at the time, and she just, I don't know,
At it, right? I'm a big believer in there's one way to cut a mango, and that is that you cut the two cheeks off and you score it and you turn it inside out. If there's any other way that you know of, it is incorrect.
I've never cut a mango.
Like with these
Not once in my entire life.
chunks.
Nor will I be doing it in front of you anytime in the near future.
And I just looked at her in the face and thought, you're not for me, because if this is a decision that you have made, that speaks volumes of other parts of you, and I can't.
What did you say though? How did you?
Did you say peace? I'm out. Screw you
said,
and your
oh
mango.
my God, we can't consume this in here. If you could just grab your bag and leave.
You kicked her out.
No, I didn't. I didn't kick her out that day, but that day I knew that this is it. I will not be seeing you again. Enjoy your life. No, thank you. Yeah.
My worst date wasn't even a date. I didn't know it was a date. Just much like, and I wasn't out. I was still dating guys, but I went to Simon Fraser University and I was playing volleyball there, and I was in sciences, which is a whole other horrible phenomenon, and I was taking chemistry and I was doing very badly. So my coach says, we're going to get you a tutor. I said, okay. So off he goes, and they send this tutor guy. I don't know what year of chemistry he was in, but he was also a volleyball guy, so he kind of knew everybody. And he came I had a single room. And for those who are listening, a single room in Canada, it's kind of like a prison. So it's like you'd have a bed, and then maybe 2 feet away, you'd have a desk. And that's how close they would be on opposite side of the rooms. And then you have like a wardrobe that fit like 4 sweaters at the end of your bed. And that's the whole room.
Right.
So when he came in, I didn't think anything of it. I said, hey, I knew he was a volleyball guy. I knew his name. It was totally fine. And I sat down at my table, and he had another chair from the hall. He pulled in. So I sat down, and I opened my chemistry book that still had the cellophane on it. And he was teaching me chemistry, and it was just horrible until I'm sitting there literally learning chemistry. And he
was there thinking, do we have
He's over my shoulder, and he pulls one of these.
Oh.
And I don't stop him, but instead I lean back on my chair. So I'm now tipping back on my chair. The chair falls out from underneath me. I smack the back of my head on the bed frame that is so close to me. A concussion. I had to go to the school, whatever. He didn't
see him again.
No, and I can't remember what his name is anymore.
That's funny.
Chemistry.
Did you pass chemistry?
Multiple guessed, honest to God, my way to a 60.
Wow.
Nice.
Hey, nice job. With a head injury as well. Well done.
I made pretty pictures on the Scantron sheet, and during that exam, I watched somebody get caught for cheating, and I thought that was hilarious. Like, I'm just like, dude, how do you cheat in chemistry? You just write everything down in hopes that you can pull it out? But because I saw the proctors walking around, I saw them getting closer to him, and he didn't know. And this stupid moron had the cheat sheet in his calculator. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
And by the time he saw them, and then just sweat. Like, and I put my pen down, I sat back in my chair, and this is what I was watching. I'm like, I'll fill that stuff out later. I gotta see you. He got taken away, never to be seen of again. What happened to you?
I was at some high school party, and I guess I was bored, and everybody was down in the basement, and I just came upstairs to like get a drink of water. I'm just sitting on the couch, and then this guy comes over, and he sits on the couch with me, and then we start talking, and then all of a sudden he does one of these. And I just
it's the
lane. She straight armed him. That's a rugby move. That is.
Yeah.
For those listening, she just palmed my face and pushed me away. That's how she rejected him.
I find it so interesting, the idea of being out with someone and halfway through it realizing that they think it's a date.
Mm-hmm.
When
it wasn't in the beginning.
It wasn't in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I used to work in tourism in Sydney, and often tourism companies want you to do their experience and you do theirs, so you're familiar. So then when people come and do your experience, you can say, oh, you know what you should try? You should try this. And it's just a little sort of way that tourism operates a lot of the time. And there was a guy in Sydney who owned this water bike company. And if you don't know anything about water bikes, imagine a bike and now put it onto canoes, right?
And you pedal?
And then you pedal it around the harbour.
I got you.
He contacted me and said, listen, I know you do this. I'd like you to come and experience water bikes. And I said, I would love to. That would be great. Now, he followed me on Instagram, so he knew that I was a Taylor Swift fan as well. And then we're on the water bikes in the middle of the harbour. We're about 40-minute cycle away from land, any land. And the backdrop is beautiful. And all of a sudden he said, oh, I've made I made a playlist that we can listen to out here on the harbour just to enjoy the
You made
experience
you
more.
a
And I said, that's
mixtape.
beautiful. And as soon as I found out that every single song on that playlist was Taylor Swift, I thought, oh, shivers. This is a date.
Now.
This
That's
is
a
a date, and I'm in the middle of the harbour on a water bike, which no one has ever heard of. And I'm like, great.
But you have a
This is
girlfriend
so
at the
great.
time.
I had a girlfriend at the
Yeah.
time as well. So I remember as soon as the Taylor Swift was playing, I was like, oh, this reminds me of my girlfriend.
What was his response? Like, oh, damn it.
I think the response was very similar to my response of, oh my God, I'm on a date and I'm in a water bike in the middle of the harbour. He's like, oh, great, I'm on a date with a lesbian in the middle of the harbour. So that's.
And I made her a mixtape of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
All right. What are your deal breakers? What's your longest? So Trace, what's your longest relationship?
About 5 years.
Okay. And Melissa, you and I are up around 12?
Yeah, 12.
Ish?
Yep.
Probably this one, little under
Okay.
2.
Fair.
That's so in that relationship, in that bit, like let's not think of we'll do this. We'll do the early 2-month, 3-month deal breaker when you have no feelings. By the way, but in the early 2 months, you should be like super attracted. So if you weren't attracted enough to ignore the haircut, I mean, that's probably.
I don't think time matters. I think a big relationship is a big relationship. Like I've got like a 2 year, a 1.5 year that I'd consider like big relationships. You know what I mean? So I feel like when you're in a committed relationship, why don't we go instead of like a 2-month thing where you're still trying to find it out? Like when you're with someone and you think, hang on, could we be lifers? Like that.
There we go.
Lifers, yeah.
Or when you just talk to somebody over TikTok and decide that very same thing. Okay, so
Wow.
anybody's understanding that joke, please go see Tracy and Melissa's TikToks. So what are your deal breakers? In the beginning, what are your deal breakers? Like
Mango.
would you say Van Gogh?
No.
Mango cutting.
Mango cutting.
Mango. Well, yes, that's obvious. But what else? Like if somebody sat down, obviously strong feelings about discount cards, but what else? Anything else?
For me, I think it's like drinking and drugs and
So
any sort of That's
so if you 100%, yeah. So any drinking or any drugs, or you mean like they're getting up in the morning and
no, I would say like if somebody has a drink here and there, or I would say not every day.
Right.
I could be okay with that, but anything more, zero tolerance for that.
Deal breaker. Do you have any mango such cutoffs? I mean, let's be honest. Drinking and heavy drug use is that's a healthy maybe. I mean, but any mango cutoffs, haircuts?
I have tons. I have a million. I have so many. I have loud chewing.
Yeah, loud chewing.
I would say cleanliness, and not. I mean, certainly on their person, that goes without saying. But if they are a messy person, if they're not clean, if they don't clean their home, I don't care where they live, but if it's not clean and tidy, I would say more clean than tidy bothers me. That would be an absolute no. I
get very upset when somebody can't tell me their favorite movie.
Right. Okay.
I don't care what movie it is. I do. Havana Nights is embarrassing, but
it's so good. I don't know why you like.
She's very hot because when you like hot to like Dirty Dancing Havana Nights ratio, if you're this hot, then I can swallow the. But
look, it's got everything in it. I don't know why
they've never seen it. They've never seen it.
Poor Anna in the movie choice.
I think you guys should go watch it and then have your own opinion on it and then come back and tell us how amazing it was.
Give it a go, guys.
And I have said that for quite a while, Anna. I have not seen it, and I do need to see it because I feel badly that you're getting all this flack for liking something.
Oh, but
I think, like, jokes aside, I think values are a big deal for me. Just values on the big things that matter. Like, I don't want anyone to be racist or transphobic or any of those sorts of things, right? But I would also, coming down from that, I would like someone to have similar views to me in certain respects. Like I've dated a lot of girls who are what I would consider to be very gay, right? And who live in a predominantly gay community. Like they don't have any straight friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they would say things to me like, oh, well, you don't look very gay, or blah, 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 or are you going out with your straight friends tonight? Like things like that bother me a little bit because I'm like, aren't they just my friends? In the same way I don't want to be referred to as someone's gay friend, I don't want my friends to be referred to as my straight friends. So things like that, like values like that, I'd like them to be somewhat aligned.
Yeah, for sure.
I find that a deal breaker quite early on. I find it an unattractive quality if someone's very particular about something like that. That's an example, but very particular about something like that where they can't really change. They're not open to things. They're not, I don't know. If we're going for equality, I feel we should be going there.
And I think that's a sign. I mean, when I ask somebody their favorite movie, and the reason why I ask it isn't really about their favorite movie. I want to see the passion with which they say it, which is also why I love her, because it's a ridiculous movie, but
passionate about it.
Passion, like she is going to ride or die by this movie. And that, what I like about it is this. I want somebody to be authentic, and it's taken me a very long time to figure out what the hell that looks like, because people can fake it really, really, really well. Yeah. And when I say your movie choice, I want you to, like, I don't care what it is. It could be The Rookie. It doesn't matter what it is. Just like you have something. I know everybody has something on the tip of their head, really, unless they hate movies, in which case we can't speak anyway.
I was going to say some people aren't like I've probably seen maybe 10 movies in my whole life. It's not like I have this whole plethora of movies to choose from. So some people just don't watch movies.
But then I shouldn't be dating them.
Oh, okay.
Like this was almost a chasm in and of itself. But I like somebody to be authentic and true. So going back to what you were saying, I would expect that people like that, people that are very quick to, well, your gay friends, oh, your black friends, oh, are those those people are so inauthentic because they have no idea who they are at all. And all they can do is categorize.
Yeah.
There we go. All they can do is categorize to make themselves, the only identity they have are by the people in which they are standing in a room with. And that's terrifying to me, because I think when people they say all the time, like, what's important in a relationship? And my very first thing has nothing to do with the other person. Figure out how to be authentically you. And I'm 46, and I think I've just kind of somewhat gotten there. Like it takes a heartbeat, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of other people.
We were in our 20s and we thought we knew who we were.
Oh,
bless.
What an ass I was at 20.
She really, because people kept telling me I was mature in my 20s, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I definitely know where I'm going. People say it happens in their 30s, but no, I know who I am right now. And I look back on that little trace and I think, you idiot, you absolutely
moron. Well, and it's like all of these experiences are really what, good and bad, and mostly bad actually, really do build upon the character you develop, and which road you decide to take. Am I going to be more me, or am I going to fit more into this? Because I think a lot of people go down that other road of, I'm just going to be who I need to be. I'm going to be who I need to be to make lots of money. I'm going to be who I need to be to stay in this marriage. I'm going to need to be a parent, to be a whatever the case may be. And that must be exhausting.
Yeah.
And horribly destructive eventually. But I think it's a very hard thing, to get to. What would be your deal breaker? I mean, outside of the hair, obviously. I will never cut it.
Well, mine is respect. Like, you have to have a huge level of respect for the person that you're with. So.
And what does that mean? Because you said that to me, and I'm just
I said respect, it to you
because I'm sarcastic times. As a get out. So I'm just like,
well, no, there's something is like cracking a joke or being sarcastic. That's totally fine. But once you cross the line of being disrespectful, that's.
What's that line? Can you give me an example? I'd like a list, actually.
The disrespect that he didn't think about how his haircut affected her.
Exactly.
What a disrespect.
Well, what's an example?
I don't know if I have an example just like off the top of my head, but just.
I think one of your examples would be you're very independent. And if you said, I'm going to handle this, and I'm the kind of person to be like, I'll handle this. And if I ignored her saying, I've got this, Joanna, and I kind of, even if it was a nice thing, it's not a bad thing, and I went around her and did it my way or whatever, I think you'd have an issue with that. I think she can do anything. Like, if you want to do things for me, that's fine. Okay, so on the bad date, okay, I don't want to say date, but let's say, have you had a scary lesson learned with a...
Yeah, I did.
What was your scary lesson?
Well, probably everybody should have a thing with like drinking and driving. And so there was this guy who I was going to go on a date with, and it started off at I think it was his friend's place or whatever. It was like at someone's house before we went to the other place. And I think they were older than me, and they were all, I guess, drinking and whatever. And I respectfully said, look, I'm going to get in the car with you to go to the next place that we were supposed to go to. And so I said, I would appreciate it if you didn't drink before we got in the car to go to the place that we were going to go. I think we were going to go watch a game or something. And he looks at me like rolling his eyes at me as if I had just asked him to, I don't know, get me the moon or something. And so anyways, he like reluctantly says like fine or whatever. And so he like really wasn't happy about it. And then we ended up going to the other place, and then he just starts like hammering it down, and I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get home? Like, I'm not getting in the car with you. And there was this whole like situation about him just constantly drinking. And so
anyways, how'd you get home?
I called my mom.
That's right. Called her mom the way she should.
Good.
Okay, what do you guys got? Scariest? I think I'm going to win this category, by the way. Scariest? Like, it could be somebody you were dating or a spot you got into where you're like, uh-oh.
Well, okay. It wasn't a date, but I was at a party, and I needed to get home. So I took a ride with someone, and he was a little bit, he was a lot creepy. And it was, you remember the pickup trucks with the bench?
Oh.
So it wasn't 2 seats, and it was stick shift. And anyways, he very shortly after that murdered someone. And I thought I had a very funny feeling in the car. It was a terrible feeling, and I thought I made a mistake. I knew I had made a mistake the second I got in the car, because I thought, is he going to take me home? And then very, very shortly after that, he murdered someone. And actually, we participated in the search for her body, but it was the most peculiar thing ever. And that is what I escaped. There you go. There's my story.
Oh, well, you win.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting murder and a person's. Oh, okay, Trace, what do you got? What can you follow that up with?
I've got a scary date experience. I mean, I probably do. Isn't Snake Girl enough? Like, there's a snake involved in that. And
here's the problem, Trace. The Snake Girl wasn't surprisingly creepy. You walked up to the creepy.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That is true.
I don't think, it's not like the scary part. It wasn't her coupon aversion.
Yeah.
You never been in a situation where you're like, oh, I really put myself in it now?
Oh, probably a million. But are any of them coming to mind now? No. I mean, I can definitely look back at dates and think I should have known then, because that was scary. But like, I don't know if I have a story. I don't know if I've got a scary story.
Well, and that's the best I've got.
I'm not sure.
Well,
I did tell Melissa a story the other day. There was a guy, he's a friend of my cousin's, and he'd slept with my sister once. And he was living in London, and I was living in London at the time. And often, as you do, they're like, oh, my God, you guys come from the same area. You should meet up. So we went out for a drink, and at the end of it, he tried to get it on with me, where I had to forcefully push him off. And I'm like, not only do you know I'm a lesbian, but you're also friends with my cousin. But like, furthermore to this, you slept with my sister. Like, what are you doing here? Like, on so many levels, I had to forcefully push him off, and I was just like, ugh. Because I think he also thought that was a date as well, because he was very much like, oh, I know you're into girls, but like, it's as a one-off. And I'm like, oh, the old.
As a one-off.
Yeah.
Guys are so funny. Once we're into girls, there's no one-offs, honey.
What's yours, Joe? Because you thought, before murder was mentioned, you thought you knew this. So let's go back to it, because I feel
I'm not going to lie. here's the funny part. I'm gonna tell my story. But if I had the choice of being in my position and being in Melissa's, I choose Melissa's because I think I could commando roll out of that thing. But this, okay, so, and I'm going to try to be as relatively PG as I can. I got out of a bad relationship, whatever, was dating, met this girl. We were dating for a bit. She comes to my house, she stays over, and she won't leave.
Oof.
And by she won't leave, I get up the next morning and I have to go tutor. So I say, I got to go tutor. So, and she's like, if it's okay, I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit. I'll watch TV. You won't be too long. And you get back. And I'm like, okay, sure. Sure. What are you going to say? You're going to say, get the hell. I mean, I should have, obviously.
So
I said,
basically,
okay.
she was you hauling, but just forgot to tell you about it.
Like,
she just hauled without the you.
So I went and I tutored and I did whatever. And I came back a few hours later and she was there and, we ate or whatever. And I said, I was thinking she was going to go. And so at this point, again, bad relationship. We can't spend all the time together. I need a minute. Right. And so she says, is it okay if I stay one more night? And I'm like, oh, okay. What am I going to do here? Okay. So she stays another night. And the next day, I'm getting increasingly more agitated. And I'm a very nice person in general. But at this point, again, bad relationship. So my empathetic tolerance is pretty minimal. And I say, I got to go. Today, I'm making crap up, right? I got to go somewhere. You're going to have to leave. And she goes, well, I don't understand. What's wrong with your tone? And I said, my tone? Nothing's wrong with my tone. You'll call me when we get home. We'll make another plan.
Wait a minute, Joe. Wait a minute. Let me interject. Are we talking about Anna?
And she's still here.
Yeah, the end of the story is we got engaged.
And she starts to tear.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
see, this part can't be me because I don't cry.
Right, okay. Good.
And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what? But my empathy level isn't as, significant. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Well, I don't understand what this is happening. And she goes, I'm just really connected to you. And I feel like I'm going to leave and you're never going to talk to me again. I'm like, well, now I'm not talking to you again. That wasn't happening if you just left like a normal person. It gets so much worse than that. So it escalates. So she's getting more, and she's almost hyperventilating when I'm saying she has to go. And I'm like, hun, but you gotta go. I mean, I can't, you're not moving it, right? Just give me a minute and whatever. And she's getting more and more frantic. And finally, she gets mad, throws some stuff, says, fine, I'm leaving, packs up everything, whatever she'd already unpacked. I don't know if there was a toothbrush and a extra bed she'd moved in when I was at tutoring. And she goes out to a car and leaves. And then within 10 minutes calls me panicked saying, I pulled my car over. I just threw up. I'm really sick. And she lived, I don't know, 45 minutes. I need to come back. And I said, and then I'm balancing. What do I do? Because I
Did you let her come back, Joe?
Joe. Wait,
that's
is
right.
it Anna? I need to know
this
again.
story gets worse. She comes back and I say, listen, I have a spare room. I think you can stay there. I'm going to stay you stay in that room. So I had a 2-floor condo. She's in the upstairs bedroom and I can hear her crying. Like she must have purposefully been crying at like a 10, like fake crying at a 10. So like I could hear, but what she didn't understand by that wasn't going to entice me to come up and say, are you okay? That was just, at this point, I was texting my friends going, I don't know what to do at this particular point. Maybe you're going to have to come over. I don't think she's ever going to leave. If she doesn't leave by tomorrow, do I call the police? What do I do, right? So she sleeps, and in the morning she wakes up and I'm like, glad you stayed over. Everything's, and I tried to now fashion that everything was fine. right? Because I'm like, this woman, if I have the wrong tone, she's never going to leave. She's never going to, there's something bad's going to happen. I mean, I'm not a big kid, so I don't know if I was going to win in that battle. So she eventually leaves, and I pretend that everything's fine. She gets out of the house, locks it. Now, at this point, guys, all I'm thinking is, she knows where I live. Like, I'm thinking, how many times is she going to come back after I never talk to her again? So I'm trying to figure out how to slowly retreat from that, right?
You move.
And then I have to go back to school. Here's where it gets crazier. So she's sending me paragraphs and paragraphs on Facebook saying all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm saying, you're going to have to give me time. And so I get to school and I go about my morning. And about 3 days later of these onslaught, and as sometimes she says, I'm fine, I'm not going to message you anymore, I understand. I'm like, huh. And then I get, Joanna Johnson, can you come down to the office, please?
Oh, no.
So I go down to the office.
Are you working at a school? Or you're teaching at this point?
I'm at Metro, yep. And I come down to the office, and there's flowers and candy and presents. And I look at it, I go, are you guys taking a piss? Like, I thought, because they knew, I'm like, what's going on here? Are you guys are being funny or whatever? They're like, no, this just came for you. The flowers are crazy. Fine. The candy, heaven forbid, I'm never eating any food that you've sent me. But here's the scarier part. I told her my favorite book was Great Expectations.
No.
She had bought a copy of Great Expectations within 3 days. She had gone through I wish I kept it, but I just couldn't. She'd gone through the book, guys. She'd highlighted parts that she thinks pertains to our epic love story and made notes in the margins and put inserts of paper throughout it.
Is this someone that you met and brought home one night? Was this leading up?
Yeah, we talked for quite a while. We went out a few times. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
But I met her online. Like, I met her through Facebook. She was very, very intelligent. We had these great conversations. And I never recognized, as a young idiot, that there are places where I could put myself in danger, especially with women, right? Like, we think, for me, it's always like, well, be careful with guys, right? Like, be careful because they can overpower you, whatever. And I just became very starkly aware. And it's still, to right now, I'm sweating a little bit because it made me starkly aware of how stupid I was and how much that could have gone way worse. Like, that was it. I don't know why that was it. I don't know what about her decided that's when I'm going to stop. I was afraid for months she was going to show up at my school.
But the gifts were the last?
That was it. That was it. I never responded to any of that. And then somehow she sent me a couple of other things saying how sick she was and that she was going to the hospital. And I never thought about that. I wonder if everything's okay. Maybe.
Did she follow you on TikTok?
And she just said that she wrote her a message.
She wrote saying she was so sick, she had to go to the hospital. She's not doing well. And she never heard
from her again.
Right.
That could have just ended.
This may not be the happy ending that we were all thinking about.
That's probably how we're connected, Joe. That's probably how I know you. I probably dated her too.
Look, I will say that Mango Cutter did the same thing. Like, after Mango was done, I got flowers. I got like an 8-page letter of why we're supposed to be together. I got that whole thing too. And then eventually it did cut off eventually, but she'd wait for me outside my work and just wait there on the odd chance that I would be working. She'd call my work, like really scary things like that. And I just thought, sweetheart, no, look at how you hacked the fruit. Absolutely not.
No. So we both of us met through TikTok. You guys met through TikTok. We met through TikTok. Now your story's a little bit different, but what do you think? So we've been around the block a few times. What is the number one, let's say, not deal breaker, but the number one, like, what is that thing that clicks in your head and goes, no, this is it? Because we've all been through craziness, stalkers, putting toothbrushes, I had somebody make me a mixtape after knowing me one night. I said, no, thank you. Like, what is the thing where you're like, I know we talked about authenticity and stuff, but you're like, values, but all of that aside, what is that gut thing for you?
Look, I don't know. If
I can't even put my finger on it.
It's
because
just a
it wasn't.
feeling.
It was a feeling, and it was instant with Trace. Like I saw one of her videos, and I just thought she was cute and funny, and I don't think that was it, and I don't even know what it was. It was just I need to know her. You know?
That was it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was almost like a magnetic. That's it. I have no other cause. I have no other reason. Nobody can. But I'm just gonna. That's it. I have to be drawn.
Well, when I saw Melissa's video, the first video that I saw of hers, I instantly sent it to my best friend straight away with a message saying, "Oh my God, I want to marry this girl." Like, I didn't know anything. I watched the 40-second video or whatever it was, and I sent it to him. I'm like, I think I'm going to marry this girl. And he wrote back, "Oh, where's she from?" And I said, "Oh, I think she's in Canada or something." And he's like,
I
"Good
don't
luck with that." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I didn't really think much of it. Like I duetted that video, but I didn't really think much of it. But I don't know. Did subconscious Trace know something conscious Trace didn't? I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
It's so hard to explain because I have not felt that. I think that normally you see somebody, you think they're cute, you talk, and then you decide if you like them. But with her,
Yeah.
I just knew it was just, and it sounds kind of hokey, but I just knew instantly.
Because within 4 days of talking, we're discussing moving to Canada, right? Melissa's like, move to Canada. And I was like, yeah, I'll move to Canada.
We say 4, but it was 3.
It's only because I love 4.
You say 4 to make it sound acceptable.
But the thing is, like, it wasn't crazy to us, even though
we knew it was crazy.
So crazy. But when Melissa said move to Canada, and I said, yeah, it was casual. You look back through the text, it was casual, but we both meant it because we both knew. And I can't really describe that. Yes, all the other things were there, attraction and, lust, all that other stuff. But I just thought, no, this person is a big love.
There was something that you said to me at the very beginning, and I said, oh, no, like, I will be meeting you. Like, we are going to see each other in person. It wasn't like she said something like, oh, it's the pandemic and, too bad we don't live close. Who knows? Whatever it was, something like that. And I was like, oh no, like it doesn't matter how long I know that we're going to actually meet each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I knew it. It's the strangest thing. I've never felt like that with anybody else. I've never felt that instant.
And I hate people who are like, when you know, like what losers?
Yeah.
Losers. Yeah. And now I'm one of them, and I'm such a proud member. Like, not even I'm a proud member, like I'm secretary of the board. Like I'm there,
Yeah.
So I don't know. What about for you guys?
I don't know. I think it was the same thing because it was I also only saw the one when it showed up on my For You page, and like 10 seconds later I was already messaging because she looks like Justin Bieber.
So. Yeah. No, and I know that, and that's what I think is sort of similar because I do know the story. Like she wrote a comment on yours, but it was right away. It was just, who is this?
It was instantaneous, and the interesting part is, now I didn't see the message for quite some time because I didn't know on Instagram there was like that separate, where you got messages from people that you didn't follow.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that existed. So I looked at it, and I normally just discount those because they make, I don't know. It was very early on in TikTok, and I wasn't necessarily, I didn't understand all of that. And then as soon as I saw it, I responded to her. I mean, I looked at her, obviously, at her pictures, and but we talked. Yeah. Here's the difference.
Forever.
It was an instantaneous banter from the moment we talked until we met, and then we were together. And it was just like, it was almost, I don't know. It was the whole night. We messaged each other the whole night, and I had to wake up that next morning at 5 to do a video conference with a student who was having problems. His family was from China.
No, we weren't messaging. We were on the phone at that time.
Oh, we were on the phone at that time. So we were talking all night, and I said, I gotta go because I gotta look presentable.
And it's all like let's say we started talking at like, I don't know, in the afternoon,
Yeah.
I guess.
We never got
And
off the
then
phone.
we didn't get off the phone until 2:00 in the morning when she had to go make that call. And
No,
then
5:00 in the morning. And then I
Yeah.
said, I'll call you back. What is wrong with
Yeah.
me? I'll call you back.
And so
How about just let her sleep?
I slept for like an hour, which was like the time that her meeting rang, and then she called me back an hour later.
Yeah,
Like,
we were
that's
the same.
We were
insanity.
exactly the same. We
didn't video chat right off the bat.
No,
Yeah, neither did we. We were texting for a long time.
I've never even video chatted anybody. So for me, it was weird. I've done a couple of FaceTimes with my sister where we laughed about how ugly we were on FaceTime. And that was really the end of it.
Yeah.
So we just texted, like we were messaging. And then she said video chat. And I was like, okay, I guess. And then it was always video chatting. But it was texting. And once we started video chatting, it was, we people think we're joking, but it was like 6 to 8 hours every single day for 10 months.
Yeah. And I exaggerate everything, right? Like you name it, I exaggerate it. But I don't exaggerate the 6 to 8 hours. I think one time we did like 9 hours video chat and we were like
straight.
Yeah, we screenshot it because we were like, it's a record, yay. But like,
yeah, we had times to call each other that were very specific. We didn't miss it ever. And
yeah,
it was instant. We just always had stuff to talk about.
And it's very odd behavior for me. So going back to the first video that I saw of Melissa, I'd never done a duet before. She was my first little duet, eh?
Oh.
And at the time I was everyone was going through the mini mic phase. So I had my mini mic with me, which I never plugged in, the sounds rubbish, but I had my little mini mic and I thought I'll duet this. You got yours because of me. Thank you very much. Not. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
She did. She'd like to think it's her own thing, but the creator here had it first. But I can't claim it. Everyone had it at the time. So I had my little mic and I was duetting her, but in the video, I'm not wearing pants. I'm just sitting there in like knickers and a t-shirt. And I'm just like, who is this lady? She's the funniest person on TikTok, blah, like this. And then I do a mic drop. It's like so embarrassing. If I genuinely thought that this could be a relationship prospect to me, sitting there in a pair of knickers going, wah,
you would have put on nice knickers. That's what you would have done.
Wasn't putting my best foot forward. But this one here was already following me and I didn't realize.
That's so funny, eh?
And it's funny because I don't talk. Like if you know me, you know that I don't say a word. But the fact that we talked was like,
yeah,
I don't. Everything was outside of what I would normally do, all of it. So it was just, it was different. It was different than anything else that I'd ever experienced or different than anybody else I'd ever met. So.
And it's interesting. And it goes back down to, when people say, well, how do you know? And I still say the first part has to happen where you have to become as much of a whole person as you possibly can become. And then this kind of random fate-like serendipitous connection gets to happen. And you don't need to question it. You don't need to be like, nah, no, not, there's all sorts of reasons you guys should have said this is insane.
Yeah.
For me, where I was in my life, we have a bit of an age gap. I mean, I should have been like, no, this is insane. Like rationally, I should have just been like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But all of those things just ceased to have any significant meaning at the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at us.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So many
meetings.
I always said to Melissa, on paper, this is the worst. This is the worst thing we've ever done. Both of us, right?
So
both of us.
We are on paper. If I was to write us down, the worst.
Yeah.
When we met, how, like what I was going through, like where, like everything. It's just like nothing really lines up.
It's not just, I mean, we have a tiny bit of an age gap, but between that and I have 3 kids. I live on the actual other side of the world.
Yeah.
She didn't have kids. Like it would
I'd have to leave everything.
Everything she knew to come on a whim.
We had like visa barriers to overcome and exemptions to get out of Australia and lawyers to hire. And it was during COVID. We couldn't do this meet up, see how it went kind of thing.
Yeah.
We missed that. It was like all or nothing.
And people always say on TikTok, so we get a lot of really beautiful comments, which I'm super grateful for. But a lot of people say, "I love your story. You're the best thing to come out of." There's one lady that always writes, "You're the best thing to come out of," and she does the panda emoji, and then she says, "Demonium. You're the best thing to come out of the pandemonium." Like every video I post, and I think, thank you, thanks, really sweet. Anyway, we get a lot of comments like that, and I think to myself, because we're not great on paper, because this origin story isn't great on paper, are those people writing those comments just as crazy as we are, or do they know that taking a chance on love is a really beautiful thing, no matter how crazy it looks on paper? Like I think that I'm like, are you just mad as well? Because we know we're mad, but like I see that you're also mad. Well done.
And I think it's also because, I don't think this idea about being good on paper, is also, if you're a whole person, you don't need somebody to be you. You know, that the notion that I need to be, everybody's like, oh, well, you got to have shared interest. You really got to be the same person, because if you're not, it'll never.
We have nothing in common.
We have nothing. And it's literally, but it's the best part, because I am a whole person. She is a whole person. And together we bring exactly what I don't have to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, barring any red flags, right? You don't want, different.
Right. You don't have to have all of the same interests.
No, not at all.
I'm a firm believer in that. I do think opposites attract, though.
Yeah, and I think that's why. I think it's very much, for all the things I don't carry, or I don't see as being vital or important for me, is that she brings it up and go, oh no, but it absolutely is vital. I just don't carry it, and so now I get to walk through this world with somebody who does.
Could you imagine? I feel a lot of people are like, think about what you like in a partner and what you want. Like, they must have a good job, they must have this. And I think people then sort of start to narrow their criteria. And I think dating apps play a huge part in that, because they're, like, I don't want this, or must love hiking, or things like this. I feel that it's really closed down to things, which is what I think we should be concentrating on more so than the narrowing down of a certain type of person. Should be just saying, I don't want these things. My deal breakers, I don't want that. But anything else, I'm open to, right?
There you go.
Like, I really love stuff that Melissa doesn't like. I'm a huge animal lover, and I want to have like 20 cows, like a small hobby farm. And Melissa's like, oh, maybe we should get a dog, right? But like, if I closed myself off to that and I was like, no, must be a huge animal lover, then I'd miss out. But I feel like the most important thing is like, no, I don't want Melissa to be a huge drinker. I don't want to be with someone that drinks every day, right? So I think we're focusing on other things, whereas you should just be opening it up to.
But I think that there's a couple of core things. I mean, obviously, I need something that, to me, as long as you can laugh together, and like there has to be there.
Yeah.
Which I think was one of the initial things that attracted me, though, was because she was funny and I could see it in the videos. But more important than the rest,
because all the other dating apps is just it's like Tracy said, it's pictures and lists of what you want. But when you're on TikTok, you actually see the person, you see their videos, you see who they are. So you're like, do I like this person? Because
it may not even be who they are, but it might be just the choices they make and what they post, right? Because they could be, doing a whole shtick of something, but maybe just the content that they're posting and the choices they make in that, and having their name and face attached to it, that makes a difference too. Like, I don't know. I mean, but I have to have someone to laugh with, and we instantly sort of, that was our bond, was humor.
Mm-hmm.
And that was absolutely enough, right? And then the rest of it is kind of learning about each other. I already know about myself. I don't need to learn about myself. I don't want to date myself.
But there it is, right? I think so many people are looking to date themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't even, and the funnier part is they don't even know themselves. That's the hilarious part. It's like, I'm looking for somebody.
Sort of subconsciously what they're saying when they're like, oh, I just want to date someone like myself. It's kind of just like, well, maybe you should get to know yourself first. Like maybe that's where you're lacking right now, if you feel that there's that, because ain't no way I'm dating Tracy Taylor. Whew. No, thanks.
Well, but I think that's the biggest, it has to be the biggest roadblock. And I don't think you get there by shutting yourself off. I don't think you get there by not having a scary dating story or two. I don't think you get there by not taking asinine risks that don't make sense to anybody else, but somehow put you in that uncomfortable space where you get to open that perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very lucky, ironically, that I've been shoved into those uncomfortable, because sometimes we get shoved. I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I just want to stay home and watch TV. I never wanted to be shoved.
Yeah.
But if I was never shoved, I would live a very limited, very boring, very unfulfilled life. And so, that's what it does. Shoves us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have been amazing. If anybody wants us to do a part 2 of this, you guys can put a bunch of questions below, and we'll come back. Will you guys come back?
Yeah, we'd love to come back.
We'll come back. Maybe we'll
be
do
back,
it.
Joe.
We'll,
I feel like
we'll be
on a game
back.
show when they invite you back, it's like, we'd love to be back.
Well, that's what they say until they text me after. Screw you, Johnson. But you guys write down your list of questions, any questions below, and we can go through them one by one and go through all of that. And that'll be amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Especially had a very long day. You didn't get to go trekking? No. Planting?
Trekking. Planting, trekking, it's tapping. We're getting maple syrup.
For the maple.
It sounds sexual. Okay, well, you guys have a good time doing that.
Thank you.
Careful of the stickiness. And I will see all of my listeners or all of my viewers next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat station. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Dismissed.